Shavuot Mevarach. Mishnah Yomi is continuing in the third chapter of Sukkah, Mishnah 11, Mishnah Yud Aleph. Makom shenachgu lichpol yichpol. Now we've been discussing the recitation of the Hallel on the festival of Sukkot. Right after Shacharit, we recite Hallel, holding the lulav and etrog, the arba minim, and we talked about waving them at certain points in the service yesterday. Now we say Makom shenachgu lichpol yichpol, a place where they have the custom to double up some verses. We double up those verses in that place according to their minhag. And we do this in our recitation of Hallel. Towards the end, we do double some of the verses. Livshot, yivshot. If they only say them once, they're pashut, then you only say them once there. Levarech acharav, yivarech acharav. If they make a blessing after it, you could make the blessing after it. Hakol kaminaga medina. All goes according to the custom of that place. The Bartner here points out, "Avol Hallel birkat Hallel lifonov mitzvahi b'komakam enotli b'minhag." It says making the blessing before saying Hallel is a mitzvah. Now, this is talking about days when one is required to say Hallel, such as the festival of Sukkot. There's actually an interesting machlokis about, do you make a bracha on Hallel on Rosh Chodesh? Now, actually reciting Hallel in Rosh Chodesh is itself a minhag and not a mitzvah. There's a famous Gemara in Ta'anit 28b that Rav came to somewhere in Bavel and saw they were saying Hallel on Rosh Chodesh, and he says, oh my gosh, I should stop them. But then he saw they're saying half Hallel. He says, oh, it must be just, it's their minhag. I don't have to stop them. But the bracha, there's a machlokes Rishonim. A lot of the Rishonim say yes, some say no. Rashi and Rambam say no bracha. A lot of them say yes. So the Ashkenazim typically say a bracha. Sephardim typically do not say bracha. So you see somebody not saying a bracha on Hallel and Rosh Chodesh, that is because it's a minhag, unlike here in this Mishnah where it's a mitzvah to say Hallel during Sukkot and also to involve the arba minim there. The Mishnah goes on with a new topic, halokeach lulav mechaver b'shvit, someone who's buying their lulav and also all of their arba minim from his fellow. Now this fellow is an am haaretz and it's shvit. So there's a concern that an am haaretz, just like they're not always careful with tithing, are not always careful with keeping shvit, the laws of the sabbatical year. So what does he do? Noten lo etrog b'matana. He should request that the seller give him the etrog as a gift. Throw in the etrog in for free with the other species. Lefi, because she'ein rashai does not have permission, the laka b'shvit, to purchase it on shvit. Now this is a gezerah. We're concerned that if you buy the etrog from someone who's not careful with the laws of shvit, well, they might not be aware that the money also has to conform to the laws of shvit. So just like the etrog itself had sanctity, had kedushat shvit, so the money that was used to purchase the etrog also is kedushat shvit. It would be subject to biur, could only be used to buy food, and that food that you buy with it has to be eaten with the kedushat shvit. So in the case of a seller who's an am haaretz, who's not necessarily careful, we don't want him to have kedushat shvit money or produce laying around that he's not going to be careful with. So we say, please give it as a gift. Now, we could do it with behavlah. The Gemara talks about that in the Barner. It says you could basically pay more for the other three species to swallow up the cost of the etrog. This does come up, lamaisa, on a sabbatical year, even Motzei Shvit, like we're going to have this year, Motzei Shvit, the etrogim for Eretz Yisrael. You need to make sure that it's been done in a kosher way, that the purchase and the commercial aspects of importing, a shvit sanctity fruit from Eretz Yisrael has to be done with proper hashgacha. So something to be aware of coming up. Great, let's go on to Mishnah 12. Barishona, originally, Haya lulav nitel b'mikdash shiva. They would take their lulav, meaning they're all four species, in the temple all 7 days of the holiday. Medina yom echad, and b'Medina, outside the temple, only on the first day. Mishachar of Beit HaMikdash, after the destruction of the temple, Hitkin Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. So Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai was the Gadol Ador right after the Churban, and he made certain takanot to help us remember the glory of the temple and not forget what was going on there. So his takana about this was Shei Lulav Nitel b'Medina Shiva, that we should take the lulav, the four species, every day during Hallel, on Sukkot, Zecher L'Mikdash, as a remembrance to what they used to do in the temple. V'sheyehei yomanef kulo aser. And also the day of waving, the whole day should be forbidden. Now what this means is the day the Omer was brought. Now bringing the Omer was matir chodash, was matir grain from the new crop. So before that day, they couldn't eat the grain from that year's crop until the omer was brought. Now, when the temple was around, they would prepare and bring the carbon omer early in the day after the Tamid Shel Shachar. So it was done. You could pretty much count on it being done before lunchtime. But as a Zecher Lamikdash, we say that whole day is Asr. You have to wait until the next day, and this would be the second day of Pesach. We call the Ketzirata Omer, the harvesting of the Omer, was done when we're having our second Seder in outside of Eretz Yisrael. So Motzei Yom Tov Rishon in Eretz Yisrael, they were harvesting the Omer. Then the next day they were bringing the carbon Omer. So we wait until the day after that. Now the reason is that the temple could be built on that very day, and then we need to bring a carbon Omer, so they might not get around to it until the afternoon. So because Bezrat Hashem we'll have a Beit HaMikdash soon, we want to recall the possibility that the Beit HaMikdash could be built on that very day, Bimhera Ve'amenu, and you should wait for them to bring the carbon Omer. Hazak Baruch and Shavua Tov.